What are some of the most insane punishments that women had to endure during the medieval age, a period of history that spanned from the 5th to the 15th century? The medieval age, also known as the Middle Ages, was a time of feudalism, crusades, plagues, and superstitions. It was also a time of extreme patriarchy, where women had very few rights and freedoms and were often treated as inferior or disposable by men. Women faced numerous challenges and dangers in their daily lives and were subject to various forms of punishments for transgressions that were deemed unacceptable by society. Public humiliation was a form of punishment in medieval society that targeted women, aiming to shame and degrade them. This practice involved subjecting women to degrading acts in public spaces, such as parading them through the streets, throwing rotten food at them, physically assaulting them, or even cutting off their hair or ears. Some women were made to wear a skull's bridle, a metal device that prevented speech and caused pain. The purpose of public humiliation was to destroy women's reputations and reinforce societal norms, while also allowing men to exert power and control over women. In this era of sexism and patriarchy, women were held accountable for their actions, while men often escaped punishment. Flogging and whipping, which were brutal forms of punishment, were employed often during the medieval era. Women who were accused of crimes like theft or witchcraft were subjected to severe lashings, causing lasting scars. Punishments varied based on the offense and authorities' discretion. Public whipping served as spectacles, while private dungeons allowed for crueler torture. Some women even died from injuries or infections. These punishments were aimed not only to inflict physical pain, but also to break women's spirits and make them submissive to men. Burning at the stake was a horrifying punishment reserved for women accused of crimes like heresy, treason, or witchcraft. These women underwent trials by ordeal involving fire, water, or iron to prove their innocence. If they failed, they were tied to a stake and surrounded by combustible materials. The fire was lit and they were burned alive in front of a crowd. This execution method served as both punishment and entertainment, with people gathering to watch and even collect souvenirs. Many innocent women fell victim to false accusations. It was an inhumane and barbaric punishment indicative of society's fear and hatred of women who challenged norms. The rack was one of the most infamous torture devices used during the medieval age. The rack consisted of a wooden frame with rollers at each end. Victims were tied to the frame by their wrists and ankles and then stretched by turning the rollers. This caused immense pain and damage to their body. It was used to extract confessions or information, punish individuals, and was particularly used on women accused of witchcraft or treason. It demonstrated a complete lack of mercy or compassion for its victims. It inflicted unimaginable pain and suffering upon women who had no voice or power in medieval society, violating their dignity and humanity. The Iron Maiden was the most terrifying and gruesome torture device ever invented during the medieval age. It was a metal coffin with spikes on the inside that pierced the victim's body when the door was closed. The device had openings for the eyes, nose, and mouth to allow the victim to see, breathe, and scream. The Iron Maiden was used to punish women who were accused of serious crimes such as witchcraft, adultery, or murder. Women who were sentenced to death by the Iron Maiden were locked inside the device and left to bleed and suffer until they died. The Iron Maiden could also be used to torture women before their execution by other means, such as hanging or beheading. The Iron Maiden was a form of torture that showed no regard for the life or well-being of its victims. It was a form of torture that caused extreme agony and horror to women who had no hope or escape. It was a form of torture that represented the worst of human cruelty and evil. So what do you think about all of these punishments? Do you think they were justified or unjustified? Do you think they still exist in some parts of the world today? Thank you all for watching this video with us, and don't forget to leave a comment down below and let us know your thoughts about this topic. See you next time!